you have Bible humility. Jesus Christ, a servant. Satan, I'm going to exalt myself. Jesus, I'm coming to die for you. Satan, I'm trying to be the greatest in heaven. Which one do I fall under? We need to think about this, friends. Then he came to Capernaum, and when he was in the house, he asked them, "What was it you disputed among yourselves on the road?" But they kept silent. For on the road they had disputed among themselves who would be the greatest. Why were the disciples disputing among themselves? What were they thinking? We're seeing right away that the disciples had a problem with humility. They got into disputes. They were seeking the highest place. In fact, many of them wanted to be first in the kingdom next to Jesus. It was in walking with Jesus for those 3.5 years that they began to develop and begin to grow. Now, what I want you to realize is that this ongoing struggle to reach the top, to seek to be great, is driven by that same power that caused the great controversy in the beginning and eventually led Jesus to come to this earth and to die. Well, let's read about it. Let's go to Isaiah 14, starting at verse 12. "How are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How are you cut down to the ground, you who weakened the nations? I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High." Lucifer desired the greatest place in heaven. The same spirit that was in the disciples originated in Lucifer himself. And this is dangerous, because this desire for self-exaltation brought strife into heaven and caused 1/3 of the angels to be kicked out. What Lucifer desired was God's power and not his character. Lucifer sought for the highest place, and everyone who is influenced by him will have his same spirit. And this spirit we see clearly was in Jesus' disciples. And I don't know about you, but I don't want the spirit that originated with Satan. And every day I have to examine myself to make sure that I don't have that same spirit. A lot of us do what the disciples are doing. Many of us struggle with the same things. Even in our workplaces, we're striving to be the greatest. We're trying to get to the top, and we don't care who we step on the way to the top. That's the spirit of Satan. Is my spirit a spirit of humility, a spirit of putting others before me? Or is it a spirit of trying to get to the highest place, self-serving and self-seeking? This is not the spirit that God's people will have. It is impossible for there to be harmony and peace when this spirit of self-exaltation is present. And Jesus wants to take that spirit away from us. And this is one of the reasons why he came to this planet. This is also a good time to hit that like button and leave a comment below and let me know if this has been helpful to you. Now back to the video. Well, what does the kingdom of Satan look like? It's a kingdom of force, where you view everybody as a stepping stone or an obstacle. Help you get to your desired place in this world. And do you believe that that is the spirit of Christ? Stepping over people, trying to be the greatest. We see enough of that in the world. And as Christians, we should take a different approach and a different spirit. In fact, as Christians, we should learn from Jesus' example. What was his example? Philippians chapter 2, and we're reading verse 7 and 8. "But made himself of no reputation, taking the form of a bondservant, and coming in the likeness of men. And being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient to the point of death, even the death of the cross." Jesus did not come to this planet born to wealthy parents. He was poor. Jesus Christ, a servant. Satan, I'm going to exalt myself. Jesus, I'm coming to die for you. Satan, I'm trying to be the greatest in heaven. Which one do I fall under? We need to think about this, friends. In Matthew chapter 20, verse 28, Jesus did not come to be ministered unto, but to minister. In other words, he didn't come to be served, he came to serve. Compare Philippians chapter 2, verse 7 and 8 to Isaiah chapter 14, verses 14. And we see a contrast between the creation and the creator. The creator was willing to lay down his life. And friends, this has always been God's spirit. This is not something that developed after the fall. This was something in God. God is love. When Jesus came to this planet, he was simply showing what was in his heart throughout all eternity. The Bible says in James, humble yourself in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift you up. True humility allows Jesus Christ to have his will done in our lives. What God values in his children is humility, seeking to be at one with him. What God values is a surrendered heart, a heart of service and a heart of love. And this is what he says in Matthew chapter 18, verses 3 and 4. And said, assuredly I say to you, unless you are converted and become as little children, you will by no means enter into the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever humbles himself as this little child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. You see, what a little kid has is innocence. They also have self-forgetfulness. And little kids have a confiding love like none other. They have absolute dependence upon their earthly parents. And Jesus is saying, I want you to have absolute dependence on me. I want you to trust me with your finances. Trust me with your big life decisions. In order for us to make it into the kingdom, according to Jesus' own words, we must have the spirit of humility. Now, a quick word from our sponsor. Do you want to share your faith, but don't know how? One of the easiest ways I found is through Tracts. Tracts are simple pieces of literature, small, that can fit anywhere. You can take them with you anytime, anywhere, any place. We have tracts that are devotional in nature. We have tracts about health, and we actually have kids tracts. This one is called Where is God When I'm Hurting? So many people are hurting in this world, and you can make a difference in their life. So what are you waiting for? Check the link in the description and go ahead and get you some tracts today. One reason why I like the Bible is we see illustrations there that show us ourselves, that show us how Jesus deals with us. He has lessons for us, just like he had for his disciples. The question is, will we heed those lessons? Will we be like the disciples and let these lessons seep deep into our hearts and change us? You see, some of the disciples, most of them, in fact, let it change them. But there was one that didn't. His name is Judas. Judas did not allow this lesson of humility to take hold of his life, and he went on to betray his Lord, ending up committing suicide because he wasn't willing to take the message that God had for him. God has a message for us today. The question is, will we heed that message? Jesus is wanting to give you victory. My prayer today is that we will seek to have Bible humility. If this video was valuable to you, I want to recommend that you watch this video next and continue the journey in discovering Bible truth.